Hello, my friends. We have two significant storm systems heading toward the United States, and I want to make sure you are fully prepared. These storms are bringing serious concerns, including the potential for severe weather with possible tornadoes today across the Southeast and the Ohio Valley. At the same time, a major snowstorm is developing across the northern plains, the Midwest, and the Great Lakes region, arriving just in time for Thanksgiving. Some communities could see as much as 24 inches of snow. In today's forecast, I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know about the weather affecting our nation over the next 7 days. Let us start with what is happening across the country right now. We are just 2 days away from Thanksgiving, and a large storm system is moving through the southeast, including the area we call Dixie Alley. This region is expected to experience severe thunderstorms today, with the risk of damaging winds, hail, and possibly a few tornadoes. Meanwhile, another major storm system is crossing the northern plains. This system will actually merge with the remnants of our southeastern storm later today. This combination is particularly important because it will create the conditions needed to produce heavy snowfall tonight and tomorrow. Areas like North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan should prepare for significant accumulation. So, we have major weather events coming over the next couple of days. I have a lot to share with you in this forecast, including information about snow, severe weather, and another large storm system that will arrive after Thanksgiving. Now, I want to focus on the severe weather potential for today. This is quite important because tornadoes are a real possibility. The Storm Prediction Center has issued a slight risk of severe weather for central Alabama and southeastern Mississippi. There is also a marginal threat across southeastern Tennessee and along the Gulf Coast. The biggest concern today is definitely tornadoes. The Storm Prediction Center has outlined a 5% tornado risk within that slight risk area. Today is a day when you absolutely must stay weather aware. Please make sure you have multiple ways to receive weather warnings. Have your tornado safety plan ready to go. There may be a live weather coverage stream on this channel later today with experienced storm chasers on the ground. Please subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so you will be notified if we go live. I believe today's tornado threat is actually somewhat higher than what we experienced yesterday across the Deep South. This is mainly because atmospheric conditions are creating curved wind patterns, which will work perfectly with the type of storms we expect today. This may sound a bit technical, but let me explain. Today's thunderstorms will not be particularly tall, but they will take advantage of significant wind shear across the southeast. By late morning, conditions will be quite favorable for at least a couple of rapidly developing tornadoes, primarily in central and southern Alabama. This will continue through about noon. After 12 o'clock, I expect the intensity to increase somewhat. Our main tornado risk window will be from approximately 11 in the morning until about 4 in the afternoon. We have a favorable corridor stretching from Huntsville, Alabama, all the way down to Mobile, where a few rotating supercell thunderstorms will try to develop. These will be relatively compact storms. However, any storm that takes advantage of today's atmospheric conditions will be capable of producing tornadoes. Generally speaking, our environment will remain favorable for tornado development all the way through sunset. After the sun goes down, I expect things to calm down considerably. Overall, today's conditions are definitely conducive to tornado formation. Now, let me walk you through the timing for severe weather today, starting with what is happening right now. We have a large line of thunderstorms moving across Alabama and Georgia. This activity is actually stabilizing conditions quite a bit across northern Alabama and northwestern Georgia at the moment. However, as we move later into the morning, that line of storms will weaken fairly quickly, which will create an opportunity for new storms to develop by late morning into early afternoon. As early as 10 to 11 o'clock this morning, we could see a couple of rotating supercells begin to organize, potentially producing tornadoes. By around 11 o'clock near Mobile and continuing from noon to 1 o'clock, storms will keep moving toward the northeast. Notice how these storms will be quite small across the board, but any of them could rotate in today's atmospheric environment. We could see the threat of several tornadoes during the late morning and early afternoon hours. By 3 to 4 o'clock this afternoon, we will continue watching an environment that remains favorable for tornadoes, especially across central Alabama, particularly around Huntsville. I do believe 1 or 2 tornadoes are possible in this corridor during the mid to late afternoon. After 6 o'clock this evening, the storm threat should begin to diminish. We will see what meteorologists call capping develop, which simply means that temperatures will increase at higher altitudes, particularly in the lower atmosphere. Overnight, conditions will be much quieter across the southeast, with only a few rumbles of thunder remaining across the Carolinas and southeastern Georgia. As we move into Wednesday, the southeast will see much calmer weather. Now, while these storms are developing, we are going to see significant snowfall over the next couple of days, especially across the northern plains and the Midwest. This morning, heavy snow was already falling across northern Minnesota, North Dakota, and South Dakota. Late this afternoon into the evening, that snow will push into far northern Wisconsin. We are looking at the possibility of 3 to 4 inches of snow falling every single hour. That is very significant snowfall, my friends. We are really going to see this intensify overnight tonight across areas like northern Wisconsin and the upper peninsula of Michigan, where some locations could receive upwards of 18 to 24 inches of snow by Wednesday afternoon. All of this snow will essentially fall within a 24-hour period. By late Wednesday afternoon, heavy snow will continue across the upper peninsula of Michigan, and most of Michigan will see at least some lake effect snow moving through those areas. As we move into late Wednesday and early Thursday morning, snow will continue across the upper peninsula of Michigan. It will not end there anytime soon. Then, lake effect snow will ramp up right on Thanksgiving Day near Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. Snowfall rates there will likely be around 1 to 2 inches per hour. Throughout Thanksgiving Day, snow will continue falling across the Great Lakes and even parts of the Northeast before conditions finally start to improve on Friday. Even on Friday, I still expect lake effect snow to continue near Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. However, areas like Michigan will definitely see conditions improve on Friday. Overall, we are talking about a tremendous amount of snow over the next few days. Much of it will fall in a very short period of time. Now, regarding our snowfall accumulation totals, we are looking at significant amounts over the next few days. Widespread 6 to 12 inches of snow is forecast from North Dakota all the way to the upper peninsula of Michigan. However, there will be plenty of areas in northern Wisconsin and the upper peninsula of Michigan that could receive as much as 12 to 24 inches of snow. I honestly believe we have a real possibility of seeing over 24 inches in some areas, particularly in the far western portion of the upper peninsula of Michigan. We could actually see an area approaching 3 feet of snow when all is said and done. This will be due to a combination of our low pressure system and the lake effect snow. When you combine those two factors, we are talking about substantial snowfall totals. Across most of Michigan and in areas near Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, we are going to see some localized areas receiving between 1 to 2 feet of snow. Generally speaking, if you are more inland or farther away from the lakes, we are not looking at quite a significant accumulation, with most areas receiving around 3 to 6 inches of snow arriving just in time for Thanksgiving. However, if you are right along the immediate lake shores, especially in northwestern areas of Michigan, far western New York, northwestern Pennsylvania, or near Watertown, New York, those will be the hotspot areas where localized amounts could reach 1 to 2 feet of snow. Outside of those localized areas, widespread 3 to 8 inches of snow is expected. After this winter storm has passed, we are going to experience a very different weather pattern. As we head into the upcoming weekend and next week, which marks the beginning of December, our large-scale weather pattern will feature a significant low-pressure system along the desert southwest and along the west coast. This will essentially pump a lot of moisture into the Great Plains, the Southeast, and the Ohio Valley. We are going to have what I call a battle zone developing next week, where we will see a dividing line between very cold air and very warm air. This means we will have a battle zone of severe weather, snowfall, and possibly even some ice in certain areas. We could actually have multiple storm systems next week, or we may see just 1 or 2 storms that produce all of these different weather phenomena. This includes snow, severe weather, and a variety of other concerns. In just a moment, I will share more details about that. Overall, this weather pattern we are heading into for early December reminds me quite a bit of what we experienced back in January or February of this year, when we saw a couple of different winter storms that brought ice, snow, and severe weather all at the same time. So overall, the first week of December is a week you need to watch closely for any weather hazards. I am going to talk more about the future radar outlook in a moment. But first, I want to show you the temperature trends for the next 7 to 10 days. We are going to get one push of cold air on Wednesday and Thursday across the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and the Northeast. Unfortunately, this is arriving right before Thanksgiving, so it will be a fairly chilly Thanksgiving for most areas along the East Coast on Thursday. Friday and Saturday, that cold air will remain in place. Then, another surge of cold air is likely on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, which will drop even more cold air into the Great Plains, the Midwest, and across the Great Lakes. This means conditions are going to remain very chilly for the foreseeable future, especially if you live in the Midwest. We will likely see additional waves of cold air as we move into the first few days of December, particularly across the Northeast. As we move into the second week of December, the forecast becomes more uncertain. However, it is almost certain that we will be dealing with a lot of cold air as we start meteorological winter. Now let me put this into simpler terms using the future radar outlook. Here is what it looks like over the next couple of days. Again, the major winter storm will move across the Great Lakes in the Northeast on Thursday and Friday. By Saturday, we will see at least a brief period of snow across the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. This could develop into a winter storm. It is simply a bit too early to say exactly what will happen on Saturday. However, I do believe at least some light to moderate snow is likely for those areas on Saturday. Sunday and Monday, severe weather may become a concern across the Deep South and the Southeast. Again, it is just a little too early to say exactly what will happen there. Beyond this point, the forecast becomes quite complex. The computer forecast models are showing quite a bit of disagreement right now for anything beyond Sunday. One thing we need to monitor closely is whether moisture will continue streaming out of the Pacific Ocean and whether we will continue to have a high-pressure system positioned to the north of all this moisture. If that scenario plays out, we are likely going to see a very active start to next week with significant snow, rain, and severe weather. However, that might not occur. The European forecast model has been suggesting that we will have a very fast-moving storm system on Saturday and Sunday. After that, high pressure would quickly move down from Canada, essentially blocking any moisture coming from the Pacific and keeping it confined toward the Gulf Coast. This would mean winter storms and severe weather would be somewhat less likely for next week. So we have a couple of different possible scenarios right now. Hopefully, by tomorrow's forecast, we will have a much better understanding of what will happen next week. But regardless of which scenario unfolds, it is going to be a very active next 7 to 10 days. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel. We will be the first to keep you informed about any significant weather changes that develop in the forecast.